My name is Dr. Stone Beck, obviously so. And the reason I'm in front of you is because Reverend Joanne and Rob, shortly after moving here from New Mexico, were looking for a new chiropractor. And they stumbled haphazardly into my office by God's great grace. And after experiencing some time with me and hearing who I am and what I'm about, Reverend Joanne asked me if I would be willing to come in and talk to you. So it is an honor to have that request, and it's an honor to be here. It might seem a little bit strange for a chiropractor to be speaking.
No,
you don't? Okay. Good. Well,
I need your card.
I have been a chiropractor for almost 20 years, and I practice spinal corrective care and also wellness chiropractic. And what most people don't realize is that chiropractic is actually a spiritual practice. And I'm going to explain why that is today. It is not like any other form of medicine that you guys are aware of. So I'm going to start with the 33 principles, and that might sound like the start of a long lecture. I assure you that it is not. Let me give you an introduction to what these 33 principles are. So the theory and clinical basis of chiropractic was actually clarified into these 33 principles, which was published in 1927 in a book called The Chiropractic Textbook by R.W. Stevenson. These 33 principles provide a summary of the intellectual, philosophical, and scientific foundation for the chiropractic profession, as well as representing the key components of our unique approach to health and healing. So, this was in 1927. The first is called the major premise. The very first of these principles is what guides and defines what chiropractic is. And I want you to see that what it says is that there is a universal intelligence in all matter, and that universal intelligence continually gives to it all its properties and actions, thus maintaining it in existence. That is the foundation for chiropractic. What does that sound like?
Unity.
In fact, when I first arrived, there's a beautiful little book that talks about what unity is. And when it talks about God, it says, God is divine energy continually creating, expressing, and sustaining all creation. I want you to understand, that's what universal intelligence is. Universal intelligence is God. And of course, it is that universal intelligence that creates the universe, creates the worlds. It's what motivates and animates us. It's present in all things organic and inorganic. So it really is the thing that drives all of us in the world that we live. Now, as I said, I'm not going to go through all 33. I'm going to jump to number 20. And number 20 talks about innate intelligence. And what is innate intelligence? Well, a living thing has an inborn intelligence contained within it. And we call that innate intelligence. Innate intelligence. That is what takes 2 cells to 7 trillion cells in 9 months. That is what coordinates your hormonal function. It's what heals cuts. It's what motivates and inspires your immune response when you're getting sick. Innate intelligence is what makes you perfect. I want you to understand, every one of you is born perfect. From the moment you were conceived to today, you have everything within you that you need to help, to be healthy and whole, to heal at all times. It's always there. That's innate intelligence. Now, the function of innate intelligence is to maintain the material of the body, that's us, of a living thing in active organization so that all parts of the body will have coordinated action for mutual benefit. Does a single cell have universal intelligence within it? Of course it does. Does a rock? It does.
Yes.
In our body, we are a complicated collection of multiple types of cells and tissues, all acting in harmony. We are a symphony of God's grace. We really are. The fact that we live and breathe and think and commune and heal and function and grow, that is all an expression of a coordinated series of actions. So, innate intelligence is God in our physical form. If universal intelligence is the ocean, and you take a cup of water out of that ocean of God, of universal intelligence, of life force, it is now a separate, discrete vessel. That is what we are, but it is still the same essence. We are not distinct and different, but we have to be coordinated in order to function. The conductors of innate forces. So, how does innate... Can I move around?
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
The conductors of innate forces. How does innate get through our body? How does innate coordinate and control the systems of our body? Does anybody have an answer? It's right there. It's the nervous system. It's the nervous system. Now, does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never thought of it.
Nobody does. People don't. So, I want you to understand, this is about 10 days old. That is what we look like at 10 days old. That is miraculous.
Yeah.
That is a miracle. But I want you to understand, 2 cells can come together and form us, 7 trillion cells in 9 months, with no interference, with no help, with no assistance. Just,
Yes.
what do you see there? What's the first thing that forms?
Spinal cord.
Spinal.
The first thing that forms is the brain and spinal cord. The very first thing. A lot of people think it's the heart. The only reason the heart forms is so that it can pump blood to the developing nervous system. Now, the reason that the nervous system and brain are what develop first is because it is truly your brain that controls and directs all activities, including the development of an embryo and fetus. Everything happens here. This is not just thought and cognition and memory and experience and perception. This is also the biological computer that is the conduit for universal intelligence through our body. And that has to be conducted in a physical form through the spinal cord and out the peripheral nerves. The organs and systems don't work, don't develop, don't heal, don't function the way they're supposed to unless they are connected to your universal intelligence. It is through your physical form that God expresses itself. Now that one's a little bit difficult to see. This is actually a stained embryo of a mouse that shows much more clearly the development of the neurology.
Wow.
You know, if we could actually,
Yeah.
can we kill the lights? I just came across that picture just the other day. It actually won an award. But what you can see is the neurology here is the neurology that comes out and encircles the heart so that that heart can develop and beat. All of those nerves are conducting innate intelligence in an electrical chemical form. This is truly where the body, the physical, meets spirit. It's where physical meets spirit. You can measure the conduction of electrical chemical activity going through nerves, but what is that electrical chemical activity? It's the divine that controls and runs your body. This is what we call the autonomic nervous system chart. And what this details is the very well-established neurological patterns of your body. Of course, the brain is everything here. This is truly your conduit, your connection, direct connection to Source, your direct connection to God. It happens in a physical sense here. But then that has to flow through the neurology, down the spinal cord, and out each of these nerves. It is through these nerves that your life happens. And people don't think of it in those terms. If I were to sever the nerves to the heart, what happens? The heart stops in that moment. And that's true for any organ. If you sever the nerve to an organ, it fails. It ceases to function. The individual cells might continue to have life within them, but they will shortly die. And of course, their coordinated action can't occur because it's through the nervous system and the connection to the brain that is what's happening. So this is true of any organ and system. And so there can be interference to that transmission. You were created perfectly, but there are certain things that have to occur in order for that perfection to be able to manifest itself. There's quite a few things, in fact. But there can be interference to the transmission of these innate forces. If it is a physical thing flowing through your body, and it needs to get all the way through, it can be interrupted. Think about a spinal cord injury. Think about Christopher Reeve. When you have trauma to the nervous system, there is an interference to that flow, and the manifestation is obvious. It's injury, it's illness. Christopher Reeve is a very good example. What happened to him? He broke his neck up here, right?
Yeah.
What else? What happened?
Shut down.
Everything shut down. Now, most people know that he became a quadriplegic. That's motor loss. So interrupt the nervous system and you lose one of the functions of the nerves, which is motor control. Well, he also lost control of all of his bodily systems. He died of heart disease. He had to go on kidney dialysis. He had to have a pacemaker. He had to have insulin for diabetes. So there can be transmission. This is a fundamental premise of chiropractic. Now, the cause of disease, notice in chiropractic we refer to disease as dis-ease. It is a lack of ease in the body. Sickness and illness and ailments and disease in the body don't just happen to you. It is a lack of the natural God expression within you. We only get sick when there is some interference to the perfection that we're supposed to be. So, number 31. In chiropractic, there is a name for this interference. there is actually a pathology that occurs in the spine. It's a physical pathology. It's a musculoskeletal pathology that occurs as a consequence of trauma and stress to your physical system that causes interference to the neurology. That's what chiropractic treats. Chiropractic is a spiritual practice. What we practice is the removal of interference to your natural inborn innate expression. Most people understand chiropractic as being pain relief. I've been injured, my neck hurts, I've got headaches, crack my back, doc, make me feel better. That's an easy practice to have, and so most chiropractors actually are there. That's what most chiropractors do. It's a need that people have, is pain relief, and we do it well, but they end their communication there. But for a real chiropractor who's grounded in these elemental foundational principles of what we do, it's a spiritual practice. I want to remove interference to your natural well-being. And when that happens, oftentimes pain goes away. So I want you to understand there's a tie-in. This chart that you see in front of you, that chart actually comes out of the 4th page of the 29th edition of the Gray's Anatomy textbook. The Gray's Anatomy textbook, which is the world's most widely used and respected anatomical textbook everywhere. Medical doctors, dentists, chiropractors, this is the standard, is Gray's Anatomy textbook. And there's a chart, and it is called the chart of spinal misalignments. And what this chart says, you can't read it, it says, the nervous system controls and coordinates all organs and structures of the human body. Period. Gray's Anatomy textbook, medical physiology, medical science, understands that the nervous system controls and coordinates all organs and structures of the human body. Further, it goes on to say that misalignments of spinal vertebra and discs may cause irritation and interference to the nervous system and affect structures, organs, and functions, which may result in the conditions listed below. So what is a spinal misalignment? That's a subluxation. A spinal misalignment is a subluxation. The foundation of chiropractic is cited and listed right there in Gray's Anatomy textbook. Most people don't understand that. Most people don't know that what we do is founded in science. This entity, this spinal misalignment that chiropractors call subluxation, is very real. It's very documented. Now, to take it a step further, it will say that if you have a misalignment at the first cervical vertebra, you might have, as a consequence of the interference to the neurology there, headaches, nervousness, insomnia, head colds, high blood pressure, migraine headaches, nervous breakdowns, amnesia, fatigue, dizziness, from a spinal misalignment. Now, there's a list of effects. This list over here is the effect of interference with the neurology at each level. I want you to know that every human condition is listed. Every single thing that a person might have can occur as a consequence of interference to your natural expression. And doesn't that just make sense? Doesn't that just make sense? Mm-hmm. Why then, when you go to your medical doctor with condition X, Y, or Z, why doesn't he look at this chart and say, let's make sure your neurology is free of interference? Your body knows how to not have migraines. Your body knows how to not have irritable bowel. Your body knows how to have an immune system that can defeat cancer. Your body knows that. You were born with that perfection. Why don't they do that? Why don't they say, let's look at the first vertebra, or the 5th vertebra, or the 7th vertebra? Why don't they do that? It's because that's not what they're taught. That's not the school of thought in which they occupy. They don't have the philosophical foundation that we as chiropractors do. What they learn is how to prescribe medicine, write prescriptions, and do surgeries. They treat symptoms.
It doesn't support big pharma.
I won't get on that soapbox today. The reason they don't is because there's no profit in people being healthy. There's no profit in people being healthy. There are no malicious doctors. Every doctor goes in with a noble purpose. They want to help people. It's just that they don't have really an effective mechanism to do it. God bless modern medicine and modern science. It saves lives. It softens suffering. It really is profound. But why not have as your first line of defense the idea that your body should operate at its highest level? That's what chiropractic is. Like I say, you were all born perfect. Every single one of you. But there are things that you have to know in order for that expression to be able to occur and manifest. It is your job. You have each been given a glorious gift. Your body is a miracle. Your life itself is a miracle, but the vehicle through which you live and experience life is this physical thing. And there are probably some among you that know that when it goes bad, the quality of life is significantly affected. If your illness, if your pain, if your suffering is significant enough, life becomes almost not even worth living. So we have a burden of responsibility. If you want to live your faith through your body, you need to honor that. We really have a commitment to God to take care of our bodies. So in my office, I've got 5 essentials. I want you to understand the thing that we as chiropractors treat, this thing called a subluxation. It is the most important thing that you can measure as to whether you're going to be able to express your divine self. But there are a whole host of other things that can go wrong. And for me to be an effective mentor to people, to mentor people to health and well-being, I have to be able to teach them all of the things they need to learn about. So I have 5 essentials that I work with. The first is that you have to maximize your nutrition. You can't put garbage in and expect to get miracles. And to maximize nutrition, what does that mean? It means eliminate all the garbage. If it's not food, don't eat it. Eat food that's as close to God food as you possibly can, as close to nature as it can possibly be. Eat living food. If it's processed, if it's homogenized or pasteurized or adulterated or chemicalized, try not to eat it. Minimize that. Minimize your trips to Taco Bell. I believe in balance. I mean, we have to have a balanced life, but try and do the best that you possibly can. You have to maximize your movement. You need to move your body. We are designed to move. We have been blessed with an amazing world that we live in, and we need to ambulate through it, and we need to explore it and experience it. This doesn't mean you have to run marathons like they're running up there today. It took me an hour and 15 minutes to get here today. I was caught in that terrible traffic.
Oops.
Why do we have to move? It's to oxygenate our tissues. We have to drive oxygen into all of our tissues, and that's what movement and exercise does. You have to minimize toxins. Fresno this year is the most toxic city in the United States of America. Welcome to the land of toxicity. So we need to be aware of that and minimize our exposure to it. What does it mean? It means have an air filter in your house, in your bedroom, in your office. It means drink filtered water. It means eat organic as much as you can. It means make conscientious decisions at home about the products that you use. Don't use if I have sweat rings, I'm sorry. Antiperspirant with aluminum is terrible toxin. No Teflon, and so on and so forth. You need to educate yourself. Drink lots of water. Exercise. Just minimize your exposure to toxins and do as much as you can to detoxify your body. And you need to maximize your mind. Now, to me, that is what spiritual practice is. That is meditation. That is prayer. That is being conscious about the things that you think about and how you think. It means having a supportive and loving, structured environment, a good social group. It means having prayer and meditation on a consistent basis. And this just isn't a spiritual reality. This is a physical reality. There's a new field of psychoneuroimmunology that very clearly demonstrates that the thoughts that you think, your perpetual habits of thought, actually affect your immune system and your genome. You can change your genetic reality with thought. And of course that ties in perfectly with what we know about quantum physics and the connectedness of all things. Thoughts are real, and we need to have a very conscientious discipline with our mental reality, which of course is why we're all here today. And you need to maximize your nervous system. This is the one component that most people don't think about. And the reason they don't think about it is because they don't know about it. And the reason they don't know about it is because chiropractors do a terrible job about communicating what we really do. So what can you do in that regard? Well, ask the right questions. So I teach all of these things in my office. I guide and mentor as much as I can. Some people need more guidance in some areas and some people less in others. But if you really want to honor your body and be healthy all your livelong days, as you're supposed to be, as you're destined to be, you need to be conscious about it. You were born perfect. Your body's waiting to be healthy and whole. All you need to do is tend to it. You are your own shepherd. Thank you very much, you guys. I appreciate that.